The Drive with Tim Donnelly, 99.9 The Fan. It is time for football at 4. By the way, I'm Tim Donnelly, Dennis Cox with me here outside of the Lenovo Center, where in just what is it, like 3 hours? 3 hours?
Yeah, 3 and change.
We'll have the opening night for the Carolina Hurricanes against the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Special Storm Watch start at 6 o'clock today with Adam Gold.
Immediately after this show. But there's also an entire weekend of football we have to get ready for.
There is.
It's that awesome part of the calendar. The Panthers taking on Atlanta. I'm looking to the offense, the Andy Dalton, Dave Canales-led offense, and I'm telling them a very, very simple phrase. This is not going to be a pitcher's duel.
Nope.
The way that the Panthers defense is playing and the injuries that the Panthers defense has sustained and the way that Atlanta's offense is waking up, they're going to score. So if you are the Panthers, you have to be prepared to match that. And make no mistake about it, I think it starts with the running game. Running the ball with Chuba Hubbard is your bread and butter. It's what you do well. And Dave Canales, as he told the media earlier this week, is excited and talked to the media about the strides he's seeing Chuba Hubbard make.
You know, I've had a chance to just have some one-on-one conversations with him about his mentality, like what makes you tick, you know, and it just goes back to gratitude, where he's come from, you know, and how hard he's had to work to get into American football here, you know, and really just take strides throughout his career while he's been with the Panthers, you know, and then so we come into this system and it just fits him. You know, it's the style and the attitude that we're looking for and the discipline. I think the one thing I could say about Chuba, it's also just running the run the way it's supposed to be ran, you know, and pressing the feet of the lineman, that patience to do it right, and then let the big runs come to you.
All of that is good. All of that is great. Mm-hmm. I love all of that. But I actually think the most important thing the Panthers will do this weekend, and maybe for the foreseeable future on offense, is how do they use that effectiveness? You mentioned earlier in the show, Chuba Hubbard is averaging 5.8 yards per carry.
Yeah.
That is unbelievably good.
You know, he's tops in the NFL in run success rate as well of any running back in the league.
Unbelievably good. Like, unbelievably good. But we found it, so guess who else can find those stats?
Oh, everyone else.
Defensive coordinators.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do when they come into the Panthers, when Atlanta comes in against the Panthers? By the way, their head coach, Raheem Morris, is a defensive guy. Mm-hmm. He's going to come in with, we need to stop the running game. Right? If you look at Andy Dalton, 36, 37-year-old journeyman taking over, did not have a great game last week, or this running game, which 96 yards for Chuba Hubbard last week. If you count that as a 100-yard game, he's riding 3 straight 100-yard games. Where are you going to put your focus? Mm-hmm. It's going to be on stopping the run. How do you use that focus to connect over the top? How do you use that focus to work play action, to work an RPO, a counter, a trick play? Give me something that takes that 5.8 yards per carry for Chuba Hubbard and turns it into a 50-yard play, right? Get the safeties to come down and beat them over the top.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Chuba Hubbard, each of the last 2 weeks, has popped off long runs, so you know teams have to respect his ability to break it as well, which hopefully play action, which Dave Canales wants to do.
Yes.
You can get that deep shot.
38-yard run in each of the last 2 weeks for Chuba Hubbard. The touchdown last week. Mm-hmm. That is not only the longest run of Chuba Hubbard's career, which he's now matched in back-to-back weeks. It's also 1 yard off from being the longest play of the season for the Panthers this year. They have not had a 40-yard play this season.
Not yet.
Last year, I believe they had 1 or 2.
They had, I know it was a 48-yard completion for a touchdown, and Andy Dalton to DJ Chark in Game 3 against Seattle, and Hayden Hurst had a 48-yard reception as well.
That's not enough.
They didn't have a single play go over 50 yards last year.
That's not enough. And also, it's Bryce. That was Bryce Young's fault, right? Now it's a different quarterback, and you're still not completing deep passes.
Yep.
Andy Dalton needs to use the run game to connect on more play action shots. Mm-hmm. The whole point of being a quarterback in a run offense is you're going to have less chances, but those are going to be more high leverage, high opportunity, big play chances. If I'm a quarterback, I don't mind handing it off 30, 35 times a game if that means my 20 attempts are the exciting kind.
Oh, yeah.
Like if I'm handing it off 20 times a game, then, you know, I'm going to have to do 15 short passes. I'm going to have to keep the defense honest with checkdowns and all of that. I want Andy Dalton throwing less passes further downfield. That's how I think this offense can match what Atlanta is going to bring, because Kirk Cousins is going to sling it, and he's going to find was it Mooney deep, and he's going to find Drake London deep, because that's how their offense is built. I think sometimes they should run it more, but they, especially last week, they had success throwing it. So I think that's what you're going to get. Dave Canales, as a play caller, needs to think this way. Your running game is not just which running play is most likely to pick up the most yards. Sometimes it's which running play is going to set up a bigger play later on in the game. You have Chuba Hubbard averaging 5.8 yards per carry. That's great, but also give him the ball so much that he averages 4.5 yards a carry. That's still really good and really efficient.
I take that.
It's, you know, the example I use often when kind of trying to get this idea across is, if I have someone that's shooting 50% from three in a basketball game, I'm going to tell them to, like, every game you have to shoot at least one more attempt than the week before, until you're averaging like 42%, because it's still wildly efficient, and we're not getting the most out of you if you're not shooting a higher volume to the point where you're making 50%. Like, just keep shooting, and if you keep shooting at 50%, I'm gonna keep telling you to shoot more until you're shooting 50 a game. Obviously exaggeration there, but the idea is true. Chuba Hubbard, just keep running it. He's going to keep averaging 5.8 yards per game, but with yards per carry. But with each time you do it, make sure there's a next something you're building off of it. I love drives that are run for first down, run for first down, touchdown pass. I love those probably more than any other drive you can have in football.
I'm hoping that this matchup with Atlanta, in terms of Atlanta's defense, we all know that the Carolina Panthers defense can't get after the quarterback. You know who has a worse sack percentage defensively than Carolina? Atlanta. There's two teams that are actually less, and Atlanta, I think, is actually dead last on the NFL. They're less than 4% of the time. If teams drop back, they get a sack. So it's worse. Think about the Panthers pass rush, and worse. That's what the Atlanta Falcons is. I'm hoping that play action sets up, and Andy Dalton's going to have a ton of time, and he gets a deep shot, whether it's Legette on a post or Deontay Johnson, something.
It's funny you bring that up, because there's like a saying that you can make stats say anything, right? And you see it all the time. There's all of these different all-encompassing stats. Or this team in plus minus, this team in DVOA, this team in win shares, and it's like you can find one. You brought what stat did you bring up there?
Sack percentage.
Sack percentage. I tend to look at pressure percentage. Which
is also very low.
Is sacks, quarterback hits, and hurries combined. That's what a pressure is. They are dead last and second to dead last in pressure percentage. So Atlanta is the worst team in the NFL at getting pressure on the quarterback, and Carolina is second worst. So there's no matter which advanced analytic you like for is my pass rush getting the job done, neither of these two teams are. So
all sacks should be celebrated on Sunday in this game.
Or just lamented by the offense. Your defense is bad and wounded. Your offense needs to score to keep up with an explosive offense. I love a 12-play drive. I don't know if you're going to get 7 of them for touchdowns.
No.
So if you're going to do that, you're going to have to pick up chunk yardage, build off of your bread and butter, which is the run game, scheme off of your bread and butter, which is the run game, and then you do need the execution from Andy Dalton and the receivers, that if there's someone open downfield, you can't have he overthrew it. You can't have a Jonathon Mingo from last week where you're open and the ball is on target enough and you catch it and fall down. I love securing the catch. I love making sure you catch it, because a drop there is a backbreaker. But when your offense isn't as explosive as some others, you really got to be able to catch that and keep your feet.
Honestly, hopefully maybe you pick up some big chunk plays as well, is that if Mingo or Deontay Johnson are covered downfield, that maybe in the intermediate, sitting there 12 yards downfield is Xavier Legette, where the guy can just catch and run and just be more athletic than everyone else, because that's just what he is. Hopefully maybe that opens that middle of the area of the field too, where Legette, which we saw against the Raiders, caught a pass over the middle and just turned upfield and got 35 yards out of it. I mean, I'll take those plays too.
And Jadeveon Sanders.
And Sanders.
That's my guy.